Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I moved locations because they're installing floor in my office right now. Anyway, you're watching on SIFTD. I'm hopeful that you are a Patreon patron and you're getting this real time. If you are not doing that, or even if you are doing that, sign up for Amazon Prime and link that to your Twitch Prime account. Amazon will pay us if you link your Amazon account with your Twitch account. The instructions are in the show description. If you're doing neither of those, you're getting this a week late on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube and we'll manage to let you get that early as well. If you don't subscribe, then you just have to wait for your dose of pack love in an extra week. Today's question from SIFTD, from two people, Toast9 or Toast LX, I can't tell, Toast9, and Sir Doug Ratman, rat with two T's, man with two N's. In the past few years, EA has made blunder after blunder. The Battlefield franchise is failing. It's mishandled the exclusive Star Wars license. It's given up on the FIFA license. Now it's reportedly looking to be acquired or merged. What has gone wrong and what needs to change? Is it in need of new leadership? Which company is the most likely to purchase EA? All right, so Battlefield, agree. The problem I think with Battlefield is that the management at EA places less of a premium on game developers and more of a premium on marketing. And so they have allowed some really talented people to leave the company. Now, in fairness, I think they recognize that and they're starting to bring back some good people. So good example is Jeff Karp came back to head EA Mobile and he's really great. Another good example is that they bought Respawn. And they brought Vince Zampella in, and Vince is a magnet for talented people. So, and then they've given Vince a lot more studio responsibility. So he's taking over, some of the other studios and managing some of the other franchises. I think the acquisition of Codemasters also really first-rate racing game developers, and I think that's going to make that offering a lot better. But yes, Battlefield is failing. The founder of DICE, Patrick Soderlund, was the heart and soul of the franchise, and he left in 2018. And Patrick Bach, who was the head of the DICE studio in Stockholm, left a couple of years earlier and went to Ubisoft Stockholm. And the problem with losing those two guys is that Soderlund started a studio in Stockholm and ultimately sold it to Nexon. And Bach started a studio in Stockholm and joined Ubisoft. And let's be real, how many great developers are there in Stockholm? Well, there are tons, but most of them worked on the Battlefield franchise and they don't anymore. So, you had two of the guys who knew where all the skeletons were buried, who knew all the good developers in Stockholm, poaching those people for their own studio. And of course they did, because that's the people they're comfortable with, who they have confidence in. And that hurt the franchise. The franchise lost some real key people, and it just had trouble getting a good game out. And I think that showed, it showed somewhat in the 2018 version, and it showed a lot in the 2021 version. And I don't know if the franchise will recover. Yes, I think that's a problem. The mishandled the exclusive Star Wars license. They're exclusive on console, not including Switch. So they're exclusive on PlayStation, Xbox, and they still have that. There's a, whatever it's called, Jedi Fallen Order 2. It's a new franchise from Respawn. That'll be great. There's no question that'll be great. They started a new studio, which was, I think they're former XCOM guys, but they're going to make some type of a strategy Star Wars game, which I think will be fun. And for guys like me, that's the kind of game I want to play. So I think those guys will do well. So I wouldn't give up on Star Wars yet. On FIFA, I actually think FIFA was an economic thing, and I don't think this was mishandled by EA at all. I think it's mishandled by FIFA. FIFA is an exclusive license, and I'm going to just make this up. EA pays out about 17% of revenue to FIFA and the various pro soccer leagues. So UEFA gets some money, and Bundesliga gets some money. English Premier League gets some money. So MLS, and La Liga, and whatever. There's a bunch of them. And they pay like 12,000 different athletes something, so the 17% gets spread all over the place. But FIFA, the actual organization, I think was getting about half of that. So I think they were getting, let's call it 8%. And FIFA decided they wanted 12. They wanted a raise. And EA said no. Now the solution should have been that FIFA said to EA, okay, you can pay us 8, but it's non-exclusive, and we can shop this elsewhere. FIFA didn't offer that, so EA said, FIFA said, and again, I'm making up the numbers, but I'm in the ballpark, 12 or nothing, and EA said nothing. So EA is going to make lower royalty payments by literally about 8%. That means they can do better deals with athletes and pay more. That means they can market the game more aggressively to make up for losing the name FIFA. They obviously aren't going to ever have World Cup again because that's a FIFA event, but UEFA is not. So I think that they will have to spend more on marketing to brand the game, and I think at the end of the day it might be a wash, but better to give the money to the people that are actually helping them build the game, the athletes and the real leagues, and less to FIFA, who is greedy. And I frankly think FIFA will come back and offer them to use the FIFA name on a non-exclusive basis. FIFA's going from 8% of, call it $1.5 billion a year. So FIFA was probably getting something literally like 120 million a year to zero. And let's say Take-Two decides they want to make a FIFA game. They aren't going to start paying royalties till the game comes out. That's at least 3 years away, maybe 4 or 5. So why would FIFA give up $500 million if they can just go back to EA and say, okay, we'll take our $10 million a month and you can use the name non-exclusive while Take-Two builds a game. So I think that EA made the right decision there. I don't think that losing the license makes the game worse. And to be honest, the game is good. So, if you wanted to pick the blunders that EA has made, making Battlefield bad is a blunder. Star Wars is good, and I don't think they've really produced a bad game for a while. I mean, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 was not very good, but Star Wars Battlefront 1 was okay, and Jedi was really good. So 2 out of the 3 games they've made under this license have been pretty good. I expect that the next Jedi will be good, and I expect that the real-time strategy game will be good. And FIFA's never been bad. So I calling it, EA Sports FC Football Club, So, but that will be good. I think the smart thing they could do is make Ultimate Team free to play for everybody, take it out from behind a paywall. I think you would see Ultimate Team revenues grow by several $100 million a year, because there are people who would love to play that who just don't want to buy a FIFA game. And back to my answer on mobile, the right number for monetization on games like that is $1 per user per month. That's all they need. So if they could get 100 million people, incremental to play Ultimate Team, and they can if they make it free, they can make 100 million a month. They really could, incremental, more than they're making now. So I expect, and by the way, everybody involved in the franchise would like that. All the athletes would get paid more because they all get a percentage. It's really good for the sport because it drives much more engagement, and players, game players are much more interested in actual real life soccer. So I think that's one of the things you might see them change, and that will make up for not having the FIFA name. So are they in need of new leadership? I think that they made a strategic error letting a lot of talented people go. I think that it was a mistake when they closed Visceral to let Amy Hennig go. I think it was a mistake to let Jade Raymond go at EA Montreal. They lost, Aaron Flynn. They got Casey Hudson at BioWare. I mean, they've lost a lot of really good people, more than their fair share. And I think part of that is just how they were running studios. I think it hurt them when Frank Chabot left, who was head of publishing. I think it hurt them more when Patrick Soderlund left, because he was head of studios and he was a developer himself, and I think he was a good boss. I think that's probably the area they need to fix the most. Laura Mealy is now COO. She's actually really good. So we'll see if she makes any changes, but I could see them hiring some high profile developer. It probably will be Vince Zampella to kind of run all the studios. And Vince is a great leader, and people like the guy, and he's good. I mean, he's inspiring and he's smart, and he might be a hard ass, but it's with a purpose. And I think people like working for him. So I'm hopeful that they fix it. But the leadership errors happened between 2016 and 2018, and we're kind of 4 years past that. And I think they figured out what they've done wrong, and I think they're on the mend. So I'm hopeful that they get it right. Who's most likely to purchase EA? Nobody. When Activision got bought and Zynga got bought, EA's board of directors said to EA, why aren't we being bought? You guys should go out and figure out if anybody's interested. And so EA dutifully made the rounds and marched out and talked to, according to the Bloomberg articles, Comcast and Disney. And if you're in business development at Comcast or Disney and a company comes in and says, would you like to buy us? You don't say no, you say, let's kick the tires and take a look. And that's what happened. And a deal didn't happen because it's hard to justify a purchase of any of these guys unless there's a strategic reason, a strategic fit. Microsoft and Activision, that was a tough one. I mean, that's to support Game Pass. And Microsoft has more money than God could afford to pull it off. The jury's out if that's a good acquisition or not. EA and Disney's tried and failed at games 3 times. So no. The synergy with ESPN, I mean, they can license the ESPN brand. They don't need to own EA to have crossover appeal for ESPN's brand and EA sports games. Comcast makes no sense at all. So I think EA dutifully made the rounds, offered themselves up to people to prove to their board nobody was buying them. I don't think anybody buys them. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I hope you're watching real time as either a Patreon patron or as a YouTube subscriber, or link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account so we get paid. Any of those things is great. If you're watching it a week late because you don't have money or you don't care to support Shane in his efforts to make me famous, then please follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. See you next week.